Hey crafters, this is Nye here. So today what we are going to be doing, we are going to be assembling our layered Halloween wreath. Now this one is a bit of a complicated craft, and it's only complicated because there's so many different layers, and a lot of these layers are going to be kind of thin. But as you can see, I'm going to be using my art glitter glue here for all of my gluing. I also have my tweezers and an extra push pin here, just in case I need to kind of move a couple of these thinner outlines and these borders around. And I also have all of the layers kind of lined up and stacked in the correct order. If you're looking for the order, you can get that order from the file. Like when you have loaded it into your cutting software, everything is stacked one right on top of the other, and that's the order that you want it to be in. And look at this part of the purple coming through. See, it got stuck from when I was cutting. All right, so first up, what we're gonna do is I'm going to probably speed up the video here as I'm gluing, because that's all we're really gonna be doing today, is just really gluing these layers together. And I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to work my way from the bottom to the top, okay? And let's get started. Okay, so before I speed it up, I'm going to give you some tips here with how to get everything lined up. This is definitely going to be one of those tricky ones, and if it gets off by just a little, it's going to be okay. But if it shifts too much, then it's going to be really, really hard to get the top layers or the next layer in the right position. So this is one of those ones where, as you're gluing, take your time with it. There's no rush, because when we rush, that's when we make mistakes. All right. So as you can see, I'm going to hold it here between my fingers. I'm going to hold this bottom layer as well between my fingers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently go ahead and start lining everything up. And so you can see that as I'm doing it, I'm gently pressing everything down. And while you're pressing it down, you've got maybe a couple seconds to move things around before the glue really begins to bond and dry. And once you have everything there, then you can just press it down, okay? I'll do one more with you before I speed the video back up. All right, so again, what I'm gonna be doing is, so now you can kind of see where the border is going to come into play here, and we're gonna end up with some of those thinner pieces. So all I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go around and I'm just going to add my glue everywhere. So you can see I'm pretty fast about it. I'm not shy to use my glue. I love it. Okay, and let's just come across here and grab into the hair, this pumpkin, and then again, I've got a little bit of the border right here. Let's do a little bit more there too. And so you can see I'm holding it between my fingers. I'm going to grab it here as well. And I'm going to grab it on this side. You just have to make sure that you have it in a good position between your fingers, so it'll make it easier for you to line it up. All right. So I have this one here. I have this one here. They're both between my fingers. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just lining everything up. And so I'm gently placing it one right on top of the other. And then with the legs here, I'm just going to use my fingers and just kind of hold it and get it all right there in the right spot. There's a little fly. Okay. All right. And so there we go. Okay, and so then you can just press everything down. If you have any glue that's coming through, then you know what you do, you just kind of wipe it away. Use the paper towel, or you can take your push pin and just kind of come in there and grab all of that excess glue. You don't really have to worry about it because it's all going to dry clear. All right, so I'm going to speed up the video now. Okay, so this is taking a while, but as you get closer and closer to the top and to finishing, you can see that it takes a lot longer to add the glue to each layer. I still have two more to go, and it's just taking a lot longer because there's so much more of the border that's visible with the upper layers than there are with the bottom layers where you have more cardstock. And because it's mostly just an outline and a border, you kind of have to go in with the glue to all of these fine lines, which means that you just kind of have to slow down and take your time with it. And so it's just going to take a little bit longer here. I'm not 100% sure how many layers are with this one. I feel like it's, close to about 12 or 13 here, but I'm not 100% sure without looking at my computer screen. But as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm going around with the glue, and I'm really just trying to make sure that I grab all of these edges to the border, so that way they will glue to the layer underneath. Because if I don't, what might happen is that part of that border might snag and it might end up tearing and ripping, and I don't want that to damage my project because nobody wants a ripped project. Look, see, I forgot this part down here. And you don't want that to happen because you've already spent so much time invested trying to get it done correctly that you just don't want to lose it to a rip. And so as you can see, I've kind of stopped picking up the bottom piece as I'm doing it. And what I'm doing now is I'm using both of my hands just to kind of help me to get it in that right position here. And I'm really just taking my time when I'm layering it on top. And I'm only allowing parts of the paper to start to glue, and I'm pressing as I'm going along, and I'm pressing it down only because I want to make sure that everything is ending up in the right position. So you can see it there. By doing it this way, it just really slows me down and it gives me more control over the layer as I'm gluing it. And so I've got a lot of glue here seeping through. Okay, and so now it's finally come to that top layer. I've got a little extra piece of the cat's mouth there. Okay, so it's just the same thing here that I'm going to be doing. Is just going through and really just adding all of the glue to this outline. And this top layer is the hardest because this is the one that's filled with the greatest amount of just a thin border here. And I also want to let you know that I sized mine down, my design down to, I think it's about 8 by 8, only because, or it's probably a little bit more because I kept it proportional when I sized it down. But I sized it down only because I wanted to make sure that I was using 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I didn't want to bust out my 12 by 12 inch cardstock and use it because this one had so many layers. So I made mine just a little bit smaller than what you're going to get in the file, and that's okay. I wouldn't make this one too small because obviously this top black layer will be very difficult to cut. You definitely do want to make sure too that while I cut this one on the cardstock for medium, or is it cardstock for medium cuts or medium cardstock cut setting? If you make it really small, you're definitely going to want to switch over to the cardstock for intricate cut setting, only because as you make it smaller and smaller, it's going to become a bit more difficult for the machines to cut these layers. It can do it, but if you go too small, it'll just become a little bit difficult here. And so I've almost finished this one. I just have a little bit more to go along the outside here. This one just took a little bit longer than I had anticipated, so I felt that I needed to just slow it down and kind of talk you guys through some of this. Okay, so again, I'm just going to hold it here between my fingers. I've got glue everywhere on my fingers, but that's okay. I don't mind. It's the joys of paper crafting. All right, and so I'm just kind of lining it up. I'm taking my time. So you can see I've got this part like pretty much still upright as I'm working on getting these layered here. And then I'm just pressing it down gently as I'm going along. And I'm shifting as needed if it's not lining up in that right position. And so just kind of going around, and there we go, pressing everything down. Oh, finally. Okay, so with this one too, you know, if you want to go ahead, oh, it's nice and thick too and sturdy. I love this. Lots of layers. Ooh, that's wonderful. So once you've finished too, if you want to go ahead and hang yours, this is the perfect craft for hanging. Just add a little bit of twine to the back. You know, you can make it like a loop here, or you could just do it straight across, you know, try and make your line straight across, and so you can hang it. And this one's all done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it's a lot of cardstock. I know it's a lot of time to get it all glued, but it's so cool and it's fun and it's sturdy. I love that. Okay, so be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and happy crafting.